Well, here we go. For two of the Low Management Podcast. Yo, Kazim is crazy. Who's that in the background, yo?
We move, we got Day, we got me.
Okay.
DJ's there somewhere. Let me move my head to the side. I want to show him some love. But yeah, we here, man. DC for life, man. Happy birthday, Meek Mill. Another king in the building.
Yo, is there something wrong with his stomach?
Who? Meek Mill?
Yeah, he been tweeting about
He's built like somebody's aunt.
He tweets too much.
He's cooking that jail food, the hot dogs and noodles.
And what's crazy is, we're going to get into it. Some people just can't help the tweeting. You know what I mean? I can't wait for that topic.
Yeah, so without further ado, we got BP, we got Big S here, and we got Zim right below me. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it, man. Listen, this week, first of all, this whole quarantine been crazy on social media. Twitter's made a big comeback. Some of us haven't tweeted for years. Looking at S. Back on Twitter. He's back on Twitter heavy. So, man, like a big question that was floating around in our group chat is to tweet or not to tweet. That is the question. And we were just wondering if, hey, man, you don't have to comment on everything. Some things are better left unsaid. Some things are better left uncommented on. So fellas, when you see a big controversy blowing up on Twitter, on social media, what is your thoughts about people commenting, about yourself commenting, or people you know or are friends with commenting?
If you guys don't mind, I'll start right off rip. And I'm going to speak from experience too, and just something I struggled with and the reason why I stepped away from Twitter. A lot of people find validation in Twitter, what's going on, what's being said. Did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? And a lot of sensitivity. And a lot of relationships got messed up due to the fact of what they tweet in an instant, in a second. One thing, and I can attest to you guys that irked me, they said, Twitter said, Black Twitter said, as being the end-all, be-all. And I just feel like people find themselves jumping into situations. And, listen, I'm just going to go there, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? There's been a lot of hood drama, a lot of hood news about a lot of public figures. And yes, every group chat is booming, but then people take it to Twitter and then get upset when people have an opinion, people challenge their opinion, people confronting them, and it's just a ball and chain. And I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to talk about it. But BP, what's your thoughts of people just running to Twitter with their thoughts? Because to me personally, I think a lot of tweets are just out of pocket, especially not knowing the full information. You know what I mean, BP?
I'm one of them guys that's not on Twitter. I'm one of them guys that just watch from the sideline. People just, again, if there's certain things that you don't want out in the open, I'm speaking, if it's coming directly from you, like, just keep it to yourself, man. Like, once you put, like you said, you put it out there for public consumption, you got to take the good with the bad and what comes with that. A lot of times, like I said, when it comes to Black Twitter, like, it's all entertainment to me. Like, people take a lot of this shit just way too seriously or just to the heart. And half the time, people are just behind their keyboards, just trying to get a laugh, trying to get a rise out of people. It's really, like I said, it's entertainment, man. If you don't want certain things in the public eye, don't put it in the public eye. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, man, just to kind of piggyback on all that. So, like Jiggy was saying earlier, like, I'm back on Twitter. I was on Twitter a few years ago, then had a little hiatus, but with the quarantine, I'm back tweeting. I don't really tweet crazy. I'm more so a viewer. I'll talk about sports and movies and stuff like that. What I've noticed, man, Twitter is wild. Everybody's rich. Everybody's a gangbanger. Everybody's a tough guy. Everybody's just doing something crazy. So, but my take on it is, as far as like with the hood gossip and like certain stuff that's going on, like naturally people are going to talk about it. Like, it's going to be in group chats. But the thing that I'll say more so specific to Rhode Island is it's so small. So you got to always be mindful of what you say. Like, you know, because you're gonna see that person. If you stand
Eventually.
100%, if you feel that way, then by all means speak on it. But you always have to be able to be willing to back that up, because if you go and like the person approaches you, impresses you, you know, or asks you, hey, what that was about, and your energy's different, you're gonna be embarrassed. You're gonna look like a clown. So that's just kind of my take on like the Twitter stuff.
Yeah, man. I think you got to be super careful when you're in these Twitter streets, man, because something that you tweet, you might feel it, you know what I'm saying, on Monday, and then you might wake up on Wednesday and be like, damn, why'd I even do that? I don't even feel that way anymore. You know what I mean? And you completely, you know what I'm saying? So when you tweet stuff out or put something on Instagram, like, you know what I'm saying, people see that and they view that as, okay, that's how that person thinks. Not only do they view that as, okay, that's how that person thinks, but they might think, okay, that's how your crew feels too. So it's just like, it gets very high schoolish, you know what I'm saying? Very middle schoolish, like lunchroom, like, you know, this crew over here, that crew over there. And I think that at the age that we are now, sometimes it's best to leave these things alone, because some people are not gonna forget and they're not gonna forgive. And we've seen that happen. We've seen the play. You know what I mean? I mean, you guys are out more than me, and I've seen it. I've seen it.
Just to even speak on that, as you guys know, I've been just like this image. I was trying to create an image, and then on top of that, I was just like, yo, I'm hopping on Twitter, trying to please people that put no money in my pocket, no roof over my head, clothes on my back, food on the table, trying to entertain them. And it just started consuming me. And actually, one of my cousins gave me one of the best advice. Like, I'm like, yo, what happened? Why you delete your social media? He's just like, yo, I just have to regroup because that thing just consumes you. And something that irks me the most is like when I know a person in real life and I know what transpired and I've been around, and then they go on Twitter and then just create this fantasy character and for laughs and retweets. And I'm like, damn, let me find out you're rich, you're paid, you're out your mama's, you know, basement, you got your own whip, you got your, you know, you're taking care of your kids. Like, nah, man. And what happens is once one thing goes, people don't have the background information and they just run with it. And that just becomes a narrative. And I just feel people who get caught up in that stuff and they have to prove themselves to other people that they ain't never gonna see. And when they do see, you know, you already know how the vibe is.
Are you talking about somebody in particular? Nah, just joking.
Nah, honestly, yeah, a couple of heads come to mind, but
just joking.
Yeah, I mean,
Big like trouble.
Yeah, he does.
No, that's facts, man. I just think like we're just so much in an era now that like it's just like these years, the current times that we're living in, I just feel like you gotta like make people feel like they gotta make themselves or who they want you to think of them as on a computer.
Everything's a clout thing.
Certain tweets that I'll see, and not for nothing, I kind of respect it. Like that's creative in the sense that you can just put something out there. You could say like you don't even have to believe it, but you know it's gonna cause an uproar. Like that's the talent. And I think people sometimes like they're like, damn, like I got a platform on this Twitter, whether it's locally, nationally. I'm just gonna say the most outlandish thing or the crazy thing. I'm saying just to get people talking. And for some people, that helps boredom. That's entertainment for them. So, I mean, I kind of get out. Me personally, I wouldn't do it, but I kind of could see where it stems from.
And that's why I kind of got off of Twitter. Like, I'm a low-key person anyway. Like, I don't really like being in the limelight. Like, that ain't really my thing. And I just feel like I ain't really have nothing interesting to bring to the table. I'm not one of those guys that's going to say stuff for shock value so I'm like, this is worthless. Like I said, when you guys bring it to the chat and give me the Twitter links, I'm all for it. Like as far as me throwing stuff out there, like half the time I can really care less, man. One thing I did want to touch on though, we're talking about like people's business and public consumption. Let's talk about the other end of that and how people like you said, like how people perceive certain things and how they comment on things that may not be in their business or may be a little too close to home, but they've now made it public consumption.
Nah, like I said, you know, this is the realest chat, and this is one thing I appreciate about the chat. We talk about it all. Like, it was an incident. I felt a couple of people just jumped into a situation where they didn't know the full scope and details behind everything, and it had other entities jumping into it where it was just like, whoa, something that had nothing to do with you, you wasn't transpiring. Now you got to look over your shoulder next time you got to go out. Now you got to know, like, damn, is he going to pass you the hookah or not? You know what I'm saying? Like, just little different things where just sometimes when you bring it public, and I understand it became public knowledge, but that doesn't mean it's open forum. And I just found Twitter and Rhode Island just to be this melting pot of just thoughts and ideas and people just jumping into it just because they have a keyboard in front of them, and then they get upset when people respond in a way that they didn't assume that they was going to respond, you know?
Yeah, no, I did all that. My thing is, if you, like, I'll bring it back to Rhode Island. Like, it's small. Everybody, for the most part, knows each other. If they don't know each other, they know of the person. If you feel so strongly about it, for the most part, our circle, like, you know, I'll say the Rhode Island circle is grown adults. You know what I'm saying? So if you feel that strongly about anything, go tell that person. Go tell him or her. Don't tweet it. You know what I'm saying? Don't tweet it. Don't sub it. Go say it to them. If you could stand on it, you feel that strong about it, go have that conversation with them. Because, like you said, you always going to have to look over your shoulder, like, are we good? Like, how's they really thinking about me deep down inside? And, like, why would you want that? Just because of you wanted a couple of retweets and likes? Like, is it really worth, like, dealing with all that, or, like, bringing that drama to you?
And Rhode Island is the kings of sub-tweeting. They are excellent, creative, funny with it, and witty. And then they always do with the sub because they leave that open end of like, wait, I didn't tag you. I didn't say your name. What are you, guilty? What the shoe fits? Like, come on, bro. Like, we just all got to be mindful of what we're doing.
And not for nothing. So if y'all don't know, I'm from New York. So I've been in Rhode Island
from New York,
7-8 years now. They say I'm from Rhode Island now. But
Buffalo, stand up.
But one thing I noticed, like, yo, I show love to Rhode Island. I love Rhode Island. Like, the people treat you like you're one of theirs. Like, I feel like sometimes, like, I went to high school, middle school, everything here, you know, so people are very welcoming. I do notice, like, what you see a lot on, like, Twitter and Instagram, everything is really trendy. So if the right person puts in the air, oh, you don't got money if you don't buy X, Y, and Z, that's standard that everybody feels they have to live by. When I think that's kind of like, because it's like, damn, like, you know, I know people that could be very thousandaires, millionaires, and, you know, they're not living like this. So, but I just feel like sometimes we get caught up on Twitter, like, if the right person tweets it or a popular person puts it out there, that if you're not living to this standard, then you're not that person. You're broke. You're not tough. You're this, you're that. So I think it's just, and like Bobby said earlier, like, he's not on Twitter, Bobby. I'm on Twitter. So I'm a boring tweeter. I'll tweet the most simplest thing, like, to make fun of me. Oh, Jordan is killing right now. I'll say type of tweets like that. Like, I get a million retweets, but I'm a viewer. I like to see everything that's going on, and that's just what I notice.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move us into like a somewhat similar discussion of talking about Black Twitter, right? So Black Twitter is a big thing in the social media space in terms of like, you know, over the past 4 or 5 years, we've seen the Black Lives Matter movement kind of start on social media and Twitter and kind of, you know, get booming off of that. We've seen the Me Too movement start from there. You know, the whole like cancel culture has started on social media through like through Twitter. So Black Twitter, you know, is, you know, and a lot of these big companies take a lot of the ideas, memes, jokes, stories, think pieces and stuff that they see people post on Twitter and mainstream it. I mean, they'll like, you know, kind of like tone it down because Black Twitter does get crazy. You know what I'm saying? But they do take a lot of their ideas, jokes, and memes from Black Twitter. So, I mean, let's just start with Bobby, man. Like, through your experience, like, what do you feel about Black Twitter? Like, what's some crazy things you've seen? How you think it can be improved? Where do you see it going?
I'm gonna keep it like I'm really only here for the jokes. Honestly, when I think about Black Twitter and this is bad, like I think of like jokes and like funny stuff. Like I never think of like hardcore news or like what's going on in the community, what's going on in Black lives. Like only unless we see a negative tragedy happen to one of our own, that's when Black Twitter goes wild about it. But like for the most part, it's a lot of negativity. It's a lot of like jokes. And like I don't know. Like I said, I'm not really on Twitter, but from what I do know or do see of Twitter, when I think of Black Twitter, I don't think of Black positivity. I think of joking, bringing each other down, trying to bring whoever down, whoever's hot in the news at the time. The memes, obviously, like I said, I'm here for the entertainment and for the laughs, but when you think of Black Twitter, like it's never in a positive light. Like I said, unless a Black man is slain or something negative happens in the Black community.
Z, why don't you pick that up, Z?
Nah, I agree with a lot of what BP was saying. When I think of Black Twitter, I just think of one thinking brain. I don't know who's the president. I don't know who's the VP. I don't know who's the treasury. But a subject happens. You go to Black Twitter, and that's the thoughts of the day. And I just, me personally, I just don't like it. The whole, we cancel this, we cancel that. And I'm just like, when do individuals have their own mind of their own? But then again, I see all the benefits of it as well. Because one thing I'll say about Black people, and we'll get more into it when we're talking about the voting situation, when there's a crisis, when one of our own is being attacked, we come together, we ride, we do have power. Financially, we have a lot of control. When we're saying don't buy this album or don't buy this clothes or, you know, not for nothing. I know it's on a minor note, and I'm sorry because I still want to go buy a Gucci shirt, but when we canceled Gucci, when they had that whole racist promo thing, T.I. came out, Black Twitter came out. You guys remember what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
Like,
yeah, you bought it fresh after the scandal.
I know.
2 weeks,
Nah,
yo, you need to give it 2 weeks. Who's on it?
But that's my biggest thing is like, I want Black Twitter to use its power for good. Enough with the jokes, enough with the, you know, roasting somebody or starting a wave or a trend. We have power. African Americans have power. Brown people have power. Let's start using it. So Black Twitter, I'm 50-50 on it. You know what I mean? It's for what you take. But when you start, you know, making your own thoughts of what other people think, then that's where you just lost me, man. I don't know, Jigga. You feel me on that one or not?
I'm gonna pass it to Dot, and then I'm gonna swing back around. Dot, how do you feel about Black Twitter?
I'm gonna kind of go a little opposite of BP. So I think Black Twitter is like necessary for the culture somewhat. It's like the barbershop.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you go in there to get your jokes, you getting your hot takes, you know what's going on in the community, what's hot to wear, like who's the artist you should be listening to. And I think like obviously with anything, there's instances where like when somebody, the new word we use in 2020 is we're gonna cancel. I think Black Twitter's ready to cancel somebody, they're getting them up out of there. But I feel like it's good. It's unity. It's like a platform, or it's like a section of Twitter that, like, you know, minorities, Black and brown people can come discuss certain topics, like as far as music, political views, what's going on in the world. And I think sometimes it's necessary to have that outlet on something like a Twitter where, like, for instance, I'm not just getting the opinion of the people in my neighborhood or from my city. I'm kind of seeing, you can go follow someone from Tennessee and you could engage in a conversation with them, and you could kind of see, okay, how do people down there think about this situation? Or if they agree with you, it's like, damn, all right, somebody kind of sees things for how I see it. So that's kind of my take on Black Twitter.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards you, Shiz, because I feel like, and this is like a double-edged sword. Like, sometimes we as Black people feel like we don't have that voice. Like you look at all these news networks and media companies, we don't have much of a voice and a say of what's programmed and what we receive. So we go on Black Twitter and we're in control of the message of what's going on, of what the joke is, of what the topic is, of what the trending topic is. Now, with that being said, that's a good thing because we're getting our voices heard, opinions heard. People can kind of duck in and see it, but sometimes it does become a little bit of like a free for all, and that's where it gets a little bit dangerous. And to be honest with you, when we talk about cancel culture is not like a real thing, in the sense where it's very, very rare that someone gets like someone's career really gets stopped from like Twitter or social media. Meaning like, yo, Kanye West was supposed to have been canceled, and he's worth $2 billion right now. And Kanye West, all the people that was talking crazy about him, if he walked by them, they'd be trying to get an autograph. Meek Mill,
thank you. That's my thing, yeah.
When Meek Mill and Drake was battling, we got tons of jokes off. You know what I'm saying? And it was funny. I was one of the people joking, but if I seen Meek, I would still give him respect. That like, hey, you know what I'm saying? I'm a fan. If we roasting, let's say J.R. Smith. Now he had a big error in the 2018 finals where like people were just roasting him for like a week. You know what I'm saying? But if we seen him at Smooth Sundays, we still gonna give him a pound. You know what I'm saying? And say that we fans and say that we appreciate the way that he plays the game. So it's a little bit of like some people, if you take Twitter too serious, that's kind of on you, and that's a mistake. You know what I mean? So just go on there, log on there for the jokes, the memes, have fun, see what's up, like Sean's saying, like, you know, music, sports, and see what's going on kind of locally, nationally, and just keep it moving.
But and I agree with, you know, Dot and your take in regards to that. My only pushback is what happens is if you dare to oppose what the masses is thinking in Black Twitter, you're gonna get roasted, you're gonna get shamed, you're gonna get canceled within their own community. And I've seen that happen as well. You know what I'm saying? And that's my only thing. It's either we're all on the same page, like to have an opposite opinion of whatever is trending in Tennessee all the way to Rhode Island, just for an example, you get ridiculed for that. And to me, that's not healthy to a person that we're all trying to accept and use that platform, if you get what I'm trying to say, Sean.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely think there's some instances like when, like, you know, you're the different one, they're gonna ride. You know, they're gonna let you know that respect your opinion or your take. And I can get, like, everybody don't gotta think the same. You know what I'm saying? Everybody deserves to have their own opinion, their own style, the whole way they go about viewing things. So no, I agree with that. But I just think that's just part of our culture, bro. Like, I think sometimes it gets lost in translations because it's Twitter. But, like, you know, all of us is, like, you know, we're Black. Like, that's, like, you know, that's what we do. We roast each other. We make the crazy jokes. We'll talk about each other's with the shoes we're wearing, the clothes we're wearing. But then, like, we'll go have a drink. And that's just, like, I think that's just Black culture.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Bobby, you wanna jump in there, Bobby?
Yeah.
No, I'm good on that one, man. I stay on Twitter. Keep me out of the Twitter.
Jiggy, my only thing to you is, how do you see other ethnic groups viewing Black Twitter?
So I did want to touch on that.
So I'll talk a little bit about that, and that'll transition us into our next topic. So unfortunately, sometimes Black people get viewed as like as a monolithic culture. Like, all Black people think this one way. Where, like, I mean, we all Black in this chat, but you might think differently about something. Bobby might think differently about something. And then to even delve deeper inside the ethnic breakdown and the racial breakdown and everything. So if you're a person and you're Asian, it doesn't mean that you're Chinese. Doesn't mean you know what I'm saying, Chinese, Korean, and Japanese and Taiwanese all think differently because it's all the different cultures, North Korea, South Korea. Then, you know what I'm saying, within the Black culture, we have Cape Verdeans, we have people from Nigeria, people from Liberia, people from the West Indies, people who were born in America, people who was born in Canada, you know what I'm saying? People who was born in London who are all Black, and we don't all think the same way because our cultures are just way different. You know what I'm saying? So I think when ethnic groups, they try to lump us into one thing, and that's why like there's always this big disconnect of how we're viewed in the media, you know what I'm saying, where they look at us in movies or in music and how we actually really are. Because if you like, I mean, when 50 Cent was hot, they might think, oh man, Black people are big, scary, angry, mean gangsters, when for the most part, 98% of us are not even like that. You know what I mean? And that's what they try to push forward and push on us. So with that being said, Diddy, the past few weeks has been taking some heat and had some agreeances of him saying that he wants Black people to hold our vote in the 2020 election hostage. He's come under fire. Some people have agreed, some people haven't. But basically, Diddy's message is, we want to go with the candidate who's going to provide us the best deal and then follow through on said deal. So it's been a big topic nationally and inside this group chat. And I'm going to start with Zeem, and we're going to go around the horn and just, you know what I'm saying, and just give our thoughts and opinions on it.
So you guys already know, as soon as that clip even dropped on IG, I took that link, I sent it, and I was just upset. Upset in the sense of Diddy in 2008 was a huge component, and I felt helped galvanize our culture with the whole vote and die campaign. And then for him to, first of all, when I hear that you have to earn my vote, AKA you mean you needed to be bought off. How people was making jokes about, oh, Trump sending us stimulus checks, he's getting our vote. So you have to earn it. I understand Diddy in theory. I just don't agree that this is the time to flex our muscle in regards to what we want and what we demand, right? You guys say, Black people, let's galvanize, let's do this, but staying at home is not the answer. And what just frustrates me about America is, and just Black people in general, we're so divided within ourselves. And I just feel like other ethnicities look at that and view us as divided, and they laugh like, look, Diddy saying this, Kenny Burns is saying this, DL Hughley saying this, Cedar God is saying this, oh, Angela Rye, she's saying that, and we're never unified. The only time and we get unified as a culture, and it's unfortunate, is when we have a Black death in the country where we can all stand behind. Trayvon Martin, this Ahmaud, I apologize if I messed up his name, Ahmaud Arbery, with the whole, that's when Black people unify. Right now, it's an important time where I feel racism is at an all-time high. People are comfortable with the racism. The Make America Great Again is the new mantra of comfortability to show your displeas in other ethnicities. I'll leave it at that. And that's what's being displayed. So for Diddy to say that, I just think is very irresponsible. And I'm gonna let everybody have opportunity to touch on it, and then I'll follow up with my thoughts. So Sean, I don't know where you stand on this, but I wanted to get your thoughts and views on Diddy's comments about the Black vote and holding it hostage.
So I got his premise, but like other people and other stars we're seeing on social media talk about, it was kind of like irresponsible, because if you're gonna, like, I think I kind of brought this up to you guys. Whoever gets elected, Diddy's gonna be Diddy. He's not gonna, for the most part, feel any of the effects of what's going on in the country. Who kind of feels that the most are minorities and lower class people, middle class as well. So I kind of felt that with his platform, for him to say that, if he really felt that way, he needed to kind of put a little more behind it. Because, like, who's the person who's going to take that is taking that in the sense of, yeah, let's make them earn our votes. Let's make them like, you know, we're not going to just go out and vote Democratic, which is fine. That's a great point. I think that minorities, for the most part, have always been like raised to think more so, I have to vote Democratic. Like, I remember being a kid, my dad's from Jamaica. He's not from this country, but he's always told me, vote Democratic. Like, you got to be a Democrat. Like, I remember when I first became eligible to vote, he was like trying to force me to be a Democrat or like register that way. So I get that. But you have to also lead people and show them a way. So I think, Zim, you made this point to us first. All right, so we're gonna make them earn their vote, but what actually do we want? What do we want? You know, what do we want to change? And I think, like, for the most part, like, a lot of people don't know. Like, I think people that are in tune with politics, like, you know, that have the, like, you know, education to speak on that, they may know what would work best for the society. But like you said, something as simple as a $1,200 stimulus check, like, you know, I've seen a lot of minorities, like, joking, or whether serious or not, like, you got my vote, you gave us 1,200, send another one. But is that really what we want as people? You know, so I think what Diddy could have done better if he was going to have that message was, okay, these are the certain things that we want to hold people accountable for. Like, you know, whether it's like better schools, like, you know, better jobs for minorities, whatever the case may be, anything. But he didn't give people that like lane to, like, you know, follow, that path to follow. He just kind of put it out there, like, just to kind of say it, and then never said anything else.
BP?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the language was, again, I get the premise, but I think the language and the way it was articulated was maybe not fully articulated, or maybe it was just a headline of what the whole paragraph should have been. I think it was irresponsible for the first point, because we're already a marginalized and we already low in voting polls already. So like Black, low income community, folks in those demographics are already slow to come out to the polls. One, you saw what not coming to the polls did in 2016. So I feel like at this point, if we have a decision that we need to make, I think if you have a decision, you have to pick the lesser of two evils, as opposed to not pick at all. I think, yeah, really, it was just irresponsible. Again, I think we need to encourage all minorities, all low income people to vote. That's the only way we're gonna get our voices heard. And again, like you guys said, like, what do we really want? Like, what is tangible? What is something that is going to be concrete for people that look like us, people that come from our neighborhoods? What is something that is going to be tangible? Like you said, that $1,200 check, that ain't lasting nobody, man. Like, you could barely pay your rent with $1,200 nowadays. I don't know who's getting over with that, but that's not a way. I don't think that was a way to buy votes or whatever. But again, I think all minorities, all low-income people need to get out into those polls and get out there and vote, man. That's the only way we're going to really see change. We could talk about it all we want, but unless we vote, that's the first step to it.
Yeah, and I feel like, for the most part, like, I don't want to speak for everyone. I don't want to sound ignorant, but I feel sometimes, in my opinion, like, Black and brown people, we are too easily bought. So we gonna say, yeah, we'll give you this job, and, like, you know, it'll be a good job or a high-paying job, or we'll give you a certain amount of money, but you'll be good. But we don't think about, what about everybody else? That's just enough for us. So we'll live within, like, the way they want us to live. But all in all, what really changed? We just, like, you know, got into a better financial situation, or got something momentarily. And I was listening to D.L. Hughley today on the Breakfast Club, and he said something like, you know, more Black and brown people didn't vote that versus who voted. So that's something. So, like, you know, now we want to say, let's make them earn our votes. Let's just not give votes. So now we're gonna make even more people not vote. So, like, you know, and it starts from, I'm not gonna say like that's the only reason, but that's something could be pretty impactful at the same time.
So
Nah, just and Josh, I know
yeah,
you
Zim.
haven't had a chance to go, so go ahead. My fault.
Nah, Zim, go.
No, no, go ahead. I got you right after. My bad.
All right, cool.
All
So
right, so
I'm gonna
just to even piggy, I think so I just to piggyback off what Sean said, he's right. There was no agenda. It was just a thrown out statement. He let that statement be the headline. And when you put earn and it just goes to the stigma and narrative that, you know, black people don't want to work, black people don't want to fight, they want to do X, Y, and Z. And I love Diddy's premise of like, no, you know what? We're changing that narrative. It's been like this for too long now, and something gotta give. But I do understand that, all right, the pick of the lesser two evils, where as a unit, as a culture, we're not even on the same page of what we want. Because, like DL Hughley said, he made a great point. What you want may not be necessarily what I want. And what ends up happening is we just bicker amongst ourselves and fight amongst ourselves, while the other entities and the other party are just always unified. They may disagree, but when it comes down to it, they're unified. So to say just sitting home, something that we fought years of to get and just boycott it, to me, that is just throwing away your money, throwing away your rights, throwing away your voice, where regardless of, I'd rather you go out there and make a conscious decision, even if, you know, I disagree with it, sitting home is just not the answer. And to say that I'm gonna sit home unless you hear something, you just wasted your voice, in my opinion. What do you think,
well,
Josh?
I'm gonna say that I love with all caps what Diddy said, and the reason why I loved it is because he sparked a conversation that needed to be had, right? So the first thing I want to say is I don't like when people say, "Oh, well, black people fight amongst themselves and we can't get along," and people looking at us. Well, as a person of mixed heritage, as black and white, trust me, white people, Asian community, Spanish community, they have those same fights within their own, within their own communities, right? So just for instance, if you turn on MSNBC, there's a white Republican and a white Democrat yelling and screaming at each other. CNN, same thing. Fox, same thing, right? But what I will say is that I'm almost to the point where I really do agree with Diddy, even though he's extreme of holding the vote hostage. And I'm gonna give you some numbers and tell you why, right? So the thing that I don't like is that they try to blame black people for the Democrats not winning the election in 2016, and that's BS. And the reason why that's BS is because white women are the ones that got Trump elected. If you look into the numbers, if you look into the percentages, they voted in larger numbers, totals, and statistically in percentages higher for Trump than they did when they voted for in the 2016 election. A lot more white women went Republican, right? In the 2016 election, 90% of black people voted for Hillary Clinton, right? In the 2012 election, 93% of black people voted for Barack Obama, right? So with that being said, I'm a person that used to work in finance. I'm always studying economic trends. So the wealth gap between white people and black people has increased as time has gone on. And during this whole time, we've been given 85 to 90% of our votes to Democrats since 1968. So since 1968, black people have voted no less than 87% for Democrats. And since then, in 2020, the wealth gap, so the average American white family has $171,000 worth. The average black family has a $17,150 worth. And that gap has widened as time has went. Times that we've been giving our votes to Democrats, win or lose. So with that being said, I think that we're really up against it because no one likes Trump, right? No one, I don't want to vote for Trump. You don't want to vote for Trump. A lot of people in our situation don't want to vote for Trump. But we have to find some kind of way. If you want our vote, we have to hold you accountable. So before I turn it back over, 66% of Asian people voted Democrat. So that means 34% voted for Trump. 65% of Latinx people voted for Hillary in 2016. That means 35% voted for Trump. Whereas we as Black people, remember, we voted 90% for Hillary Clinton, right? And so that's why I'm saying that there has to be some kind of quid pro quo where we have to get something for our vote, or we need to take our vote to the other side at some point. I'm not saying in 2020, because Trump is dangerous, but at some point, whether it's a midterm election or presidential election, we have to take our vote across the street and make the Democrats understand that our vote is not for free anymore.
No, I get that, and I agree with some of your points. Like I definitely feel like, you know, there should be like an outline plan of what are you asking for. And I think you said to me the other day, you were like, yeah, like we'll set aside these, like, you know, things that we want, and in negotiations we'll be like, all right, we can work on getting you these things, which I think makes perfect sense. But I think sometimes the numbers get a little flawed, because kind of getting back to that D.L. Hughley point, in a sense of more Black people or African Americans didn't vote versus who did vote, then obviously the numbers, that's just a percentage of who actually did vote, when in reality we didn't have a lot of people vote. So, like, I mean, I do get that. I just don't necessarily, like you said, 2020 is probably not the best time to do it, but I think moving forward, what the conversation should be is I would use that message, but I wouldn't use those words that Diddy used. And I like that the conversation's happening, because, like, you know, that when that came out, that made me ask myself, sheesh, like, what do I want? You know, like, what would I like to see? Like we said, we may be effective. Like, I think for the most part, all of us, like, we have pretty good jobs. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, our families are like, I'm from an immigrant background. So I kind of got a grasp of like certain things that I felt in this country, that when certain laws go into place and things like that. So I'm like, all right, for other West Indian people or other immigrants, like, I want to vote this way because I want to make sure that this doesn't happen in the future. So I kind of think.
Hold up. So I'm gonna let you keep going, but I wanted to just sprinkle in some. So Joe Biden did just drop his Black agenda after
Agenda, yeah.
right.
Yep,
So
yep,
I'm just gonna. I put together just some of the main points. So I'll just read them off and let you guys react to them. So he said, "Oops, sorry, it's not pulled up. Hold on, my bad, Sean. Keep
So
on."
while you pull that up, no, sorry, while you pull that up, I understand about the statistics, and my biggest thing is, regardless of whatever how you want to manipulate it, there was 2.2 less million African Americans versus 2016 versus 2008, and that's just a fact. Like, you know what I mean? So less came out, and Trump won by the the smallest of margins versus Hillary. So we could have made a difference. Our difference would have been felt. Hillary would have had seen those numbers and had to see that, all right, for me to win again in 2020, I need to do X, Y, and Z for this community who put me over the hump. Because that white women was hating on Hillary. They was like, no, I don't want her. It's just a natural progression. But my biggest thing, besides law, besides everything, because I'm not going to act like I'm an expert, which I'm far from. I watch my Fox News, my CNN before I go to bed, and that's it. It's just the ideology of things. It's just a feel. It's just a vibe. And I haven't felt this vibe of uncomfortability or the rise of racism, comfortability of racism, the outwardness, the discrimination versus the brown people, Hispanics, this whole build the wall notion, et cetera, is why, just like, regardless of X's and O's, if we do it like that, what's the game plan? And the game plan of the country, it just feels not united. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
And I
hold
do
on.
that. Yep.
So I'm gonna just read this off, and then we'll let Bobby jump in because he hasn't spoken in a second. So the four main
Yep.
points are: if 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 elected, Joe Biden would instruct the Justice Department as well as civil rights offices and other federal agencies to crack down on hate crimes. The plan also calls for more funding for the Small Business Administration to allow the agency to better support African American owned small businesses. It also calls for more federal contracting opportunities for African American owned businesses. The plan highlights Biden's proposal for $900 million $900 million 8-year grant program to fight gun violence in states across the United States. Biden plans to invest $1 billion per year in juvenile justice reform. He also proposes tripling the Title I funding, creating a new tax credit of up to $15,000 for families buying their first home, and making public colleges and universities tuition free for students with family incomes below $125,000 per year. The plan would also ensure political appointees, including the president's cabinet, look like the country they serve and ensure that our federal workforce is representative of the demographics of our country.
So is that last part, is that guaranteeing that a minority will have a seat in the cabinet, basically?
I think that what he's saying is that, so if the country is X% Black, there will be some Black representation in accordance with, like, with how the country looks. Same with Latinx, same with white, same with women, LGBTQ as well.
List wasn't bad. I think a lot of them, from the economic standpoint, could benefit obviously our community. The first one I wanted to dive into, though, more so the hate crimes. I feel like a lot of times the hate crime situation doesn't affect. Well, obviously it does affect minorities. I shouldn't say that. Let me be ignorant. But I think when we think of hate crimes now, we think more of homosexuals, women, children, thing of that nature. So I don't know if that's a Black agenda or just a human agenda, what that comes to. And like you said, those other key points were all economic related. So if it's a chance to improve our communities, I'm for it. But like you said, he just dropped the whole agenda, correct?
Yep.
So again, I guess like Diddy said, we need to make these politicians work for us. What some of the things that we need and some of the things that affect our community.
All right, so somebody who agreed 120% with Diddy and his theory, Jiggy, when you hear that list, how does that make you feel, honestly?
I don't really care. I mean, obviously I care, but like the main thing for me is the juvenile justice reform system, and also the small businesses being able to get loans in the African American communities, because what I said in the group chat is like there is like in most states there is no like Black part of town that's like something to like look up to and behold. Like if you go like a lot of places, there's a Chinatown, a Koreatown, there's a area in the city like a Broad Street that's completely owned, operated, and funded. And the Spanish dollar doesn't leave that community. You know what I'm saying? They're living and spending money at those businesses. Whereas a lot of times there aren't a lot of Black businesses. Like even when it comes to nightlife in your world, the only place I can even think of that's owned and operated by a Black person is the district, right? So, I mean, I just think that Black people were systematically grinded and crushed under like the Jim Crow laws and the race riots when they burned down a lot of prominent Black neighborhoods. So the fact that we not only had the, you know what I'm saying, the slow start from slavery, but then when we were free, you know what I'm saying, they took everything that we earned and accumulated after that. So now we're so far behind the 8 ball, there needs to be more emphasis pushed on making sure that we're getting that economic jump start that we need. Zine, Doc.
Yeah.
Yo, is
Kind
Zine?
of
No, we
Oh,
cut
froze
out,
for a
yeah.
second. All right. Are we back?
Yeah, we're back.
You're good.
Cool. So do you guys have any more thoughts about
Nah, I thought I thought everyone made some great points. I just feel that we just got to give somebody an opportunity, and I just feel, and this is just me personally, I'm not speaking for nobody else. I just think, this is something we need to gradually work on, and I just feel it was just not the right timing for a predominant African American figure to leap like that, even though I know it met with good intentions. Like I told you in the group chat as well, I get it and I agree with it in theory, and this is something we need to work towards. But then again, we have to give somebody an opportunity, because what I'm noticing, a lot of people trying to dig up what Joe Biden did in the past, and they did the same thing with Trump, but Trump overcame it. Hope maybe Joe Biden can do the same. But my thing is, we wanted Sanders, we wanted what's that lady's name? Warren. We
Elizabeth
wanted
Warren,
the Asian guy. Yeah, Elizabeth Warren.
Andrew
We wanted
Yang.
the Asian guy, Andrew Yang. We wanted who used to be the New York governor or mayor. That guy as well. They lost. You know what I mean? They
Giuliani.
lost. They lost. So it's sort of
You
like,
talking about Cory
come on.
Booker?
Cory Booker, he's from New Jersey. I'm talking about the guy that I was crying about. That's Trump's friend. He's just coming in here to muddy up the votes.
Oh, Bloomberg.
The rich guy.
Bloomberg. Mike
Bloomberg.
Yeah.
Mike
So
Bloomberg.
that's just my notion. But I think it's a great topic. And one thing I appreciate about this chat, we talk about real life stuff, just not some hood booger stuff.
So with that being said, I'm moving us right into that hood booger lane.
Yes.
Z, man, I'm throwing you for easy alley-oop. So, obviously, we all, you know what I'm saying, everyone in this chat participates in the nightlife in Providence, varying degrees, but we all participate. So when are we going to be able to go to the club again? How are the clubs getting by during this time? How are the promoters living? We have a promoter in this chat. Tight. Are you gonna start a bingo game? That's what I want. Are you gonna start bingo? Is that what I want to know?
Nah, no bingo, no raffles, no OnlyFans page, no nothing over here. I'll say this: I am blessed and privileged to have a professional job, and I am blessed and privileged to say that being a promoter is just something that I want to do personally. I find enjoyment of it, and it's a stress relief for me every week, and being able to party with my friends, interact with people I don't get to see on a regular basis, and getting paid for it. So God is good in that regard. But it is a struggle.
Has the price on bottle girls dropped?
The prices on bottles girls, they dropped tremendously, because the things that they're wearing on their Instagram is what you're gonna see. This is my issue with bottle girls. All right? And yeah, I gotta get
let's get to it.
Yeah. I have to get into it. My only thing with the bottle girls that I noticed around here, and I had, this is stuff that I had, conversations with managers of how to talk. When I go to Boston, when I go to LA, when I go to New York, those girls are not on their phones. They're not waiting for you to pass the hookah. They're pouring up drinks. As soon as you even get down to the ice, they got you with another one. You don't have to go find them. And I just feel that hinders the bottle game, in Rhode Island. That's just me. Take it on the chin. It is what it is, right? In regards to their funding, I respect it because they're hustlers. These bottles girls are hustlers. And I say that with respect, meaning like they have 9 to 5, some of them. Some of them have kids. Some of them go to school while they're working. So I don't knock their hustle, and I want to prop them up because they get a bad rap. And honestly, these are the most hardworking, some of the strongest women that you can ever see. So that's my yin and yang with it.
Oh, you just kissing ass now.
No. You got to give the good with the bad. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know what I mean? For a long time, I respect strippers. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's courageous to go up there on that pole and do what you got to do. But at the same time, there are a lot of real stories that this has helped me pay for my rent. my baby daddy's locked up, so I'm the father and the mother, and I gotta provide. And for you to have the courageousness to do that, because I get promoted jokes all the time. You know what I'm saying? I'm in my 30s and I still promote, and I get looked down upon, but no one can tell me how I provide for my kids and pay my bills. Even though I don't need it, I want it, and it's a pluses and the extra. So I know there's a lot of jokes flying around like, damn, promoters are hurting and X, Y, and Z because they're doing these raffles, they're doing this giveaway, they're doing this bingo. And you guys already know how I felt about that pyramid thing and that whole hoax. But it is what it is. You got to grind. And one thing to be a promoter, to be an event player, to own a club, you just know how to entertain the people, give them what they want, and also make a dollar for yourself. So you got to respect, and you can't knock the hustle. You feel me, Doc?
Uh-oh.
I feel you on that. Honestly, no, for real. Bottle girls, promoters, like, you gotta respect it. Some of them are self-employed. It's a grind. Like with if you want to make money, you gotta grind. You gotta fill that venue up. You gotta sell bottles. Like, you gotta like make people want to spend. But I think the biggest thing that this quarantine is gonna teach a lot of people in that, like, profession is
Speak it.
Backup plan. And I'm not saying you gotta go get a 9 to 5. Like, that's 9 to 5 is not for everyone. Like, like I enjoy my 9 to 5. Someone may enjoy like the nightlife, like, or like the bottle service life, But whether it is like, you got to figure out how to make that money that you're making in the club. If something like this happens, like, that's not a career that's gonna be there for the rest of your life. I hope this wakes up more people. Like, all right, how can I make money without, like, doing anything? Like, what's my next step to get out of this club? Because it's not forever. So I think that's the biggest thing. As far as like the pyramid, 100 for 800 and bingo stuff, man, I'm just like I just, to be honest, to speak on that, like, if you hit anybody up with that 100 for 800 thing, you didn't care about them. You wasn't there.
I didn't care about that bread. Yeah, like
that was just wrong, man.
Yeah.
And it is a speaker. It was just the timing of it.
Yeah, bro, that's
stimulus drop.
Stimulus drop, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing on my timeline.
Got 9 games in my inbox.
I'm like,
bro, I seen somebody like basically like they're raffling off stuff. Like, they're saying that they're raffling stuff. And people are really paying for this. So something is $20, but you're paying for a $10 each to win a $20 gift or whatever the case may be. They're collecting $20 from 50 people, but in reality, the thing's worth $20. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I respect it, but I see some people like doing that to their friends. People I seen them like cool with. I'm like, that's just kind of crazy. Like,
right.
How I get it. Like, if you need to eat, like, what do? You know what I'm saying? You got to figure something out.
How you
I'm definitely with you on that. It's like, who are the people that's giving up their bread for this? Like, I understand trying to hustle, trying to make your bread, but like, motherfuckers know you're scamming, man. Like, you're scamming. Like, that's just not cool, especially in the climate that we're in right now. People are hurting. Like, everybody's hurting the same. You know what I mean? So for people to go out there and just take advantage of other people or take advantage of their situation, trying to make a quick buck, is kind of crazy to me, man.
Speaking of take advantage,
hey, listen, I'll say this. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go. I got something nice. Answer
that. No, sorry. Yeah, I seen that. It was a nice little segue. I'm like, oh, I messed up his little cue. I'm kind of heated. Nah, but I just want to say, like, at the end of the day, to be a promoter is all about influencing. It's all about talking to the people, reaching out to the people, explaining to them. Like, man, there be some nights I know it's gonna be a whack ass night. When you text me, how's the club? It's gonna be lit. Like, like, pull up. Like, it's just part of the game. And I've been doing this for a long, long time, so I get it. But I think the best thing was Sean spoke on it. This is a time where you really have to sit down and reflect. Like, what is my plan B? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What's my stability? What's my retirement plan? What's my 401k? Where am I getting my health insurance from? You know what I mean? And that's one thing where I was just like, all right, whatever. I'm in
Hey,
the house anyway. You know what I mean?
go ahead, Doc. Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, and like it's just to kind of like big up Zeem, the promoter in here. Like we gotta stop putting down like the promoters and bottle girls like making jokes, because like for some people that is their source of income, and unfortunately due to like crazy times, like they aren't able to feed their family. Like people got children, and like what do you expect? Like that happens everywhere. Like a car salesman is gonna try to get you to buy something that's expensive. A person selling a house is gonna try to gas you on the house to make you buy the house. So that's just part of the job. They're influencing you. They're trying to like manipulate you, or maybe that's not the good word, but they're trying to like sell you on going to a party. They're trying to sell you on like buying a bottle, like so
Trying
you
to sell you on buying a square.
make their money. That's not like an evil thing. You know what I'm saying? So like, not what are they supposed to say? Don't come. The party's gonna be whack. Like naturally, like Zeem said, it's
Right.
like, pull up. Like I'm trying to make money. So I get it.
Pull up.
And
I get you in for $10.
Hey yo, listen. We say it all the time in the chat though. To wrap this up, I hope he's saved.
Broke, baby.
Broke, baby. So yo, listen, to sequence us into the next thing, man. Speaking of people taking advantage of these situations, OnlyFans. Man, I swear, like I had a loose understanding of what OnlyFans was, but during this pandemic, I know what OnlyFans is now, because there are so many people with OnlyFans. I say people because it's not just women. There's guys out here with OnlyFans, which is cool.
Right.
So, guys, what's your feelings on the OnlyFans wave? I'm gonna start with BP. You've been quiet up there. Your hat's a little low. I don't know if you've been sipping or not. You talk to me, man.
Yeah, man. It's a couple sips in, man. Nah, I don't know, man. Whatever entertains you, I guess. And like whatever floats your boat. And these people out here trying to get their dollars, man. I have nothing bad to say about the people that's doing their fans only page. They try and get their bread the best way they know how, from the comforts of their own home. So I got no issue with it. Me personally, I'm an ex-vids guy. That's for free. I'm not paying for nothing.
Hey yo, Doc, how you feel about the OnlyFans?
I'm actually different about it. Like I feel like BP crazy. I feel like, I mean, like, yeah, like that's the way some people got to eat. And I think there's like a misconception that if there's OnlyFans, you can like that someone's on there naked, or they're having sex, or they're engaging in some sexual activity. Like whatever. I haven't subscribed to any OnlyFans. From what I've heard is like you'll subscribe to OnlyFans and it'll just be like regular pictures that's on their IG page. What I think what kind of makes it a thing is those that are engaging in those kind of activities that like, you saw them in a different light. Like, like, damn, like this happened and this all it took. Like, it's kind of like, are you okay with this? Like, what are you going to say? And once this is all over, like, how do you go back into society and like, be highly confident, or like, act like you're too good for something? And then on the flip of that, I think it's people that we see doing it that we're just like, we just held them to a certain high regard. Like, okay, this person's doing so well in life. And then they're charging you $15 a month for OnlyFans. It's like, damn, like I didn't know it was getting that bad for you. So I think that's what kind of makes it a thing.
Z?
Yeah, I go back to that hustler's mentality, but I don't care. I'm here to judge, man. Don't come with me. I want respect. Don't come with me that, treat me not like no other woman like that. Like, nah, you made a conscious decision to sell your body. You know what I mean? And that's how I'm viewing it, in the sense of, $12.99 to see you wake up in the morning with your bra and panties on. Another $12.99 for you to, drop the towel and go in the bathroom. It's just like the concept of it's just it alludes to the fanatics, you know what I'm saying? And building the predators, the perverts, the horny men, the people that you get upset when they talk to you in a certain way, but now you're putting dollars to it for them to be vicious in your comments and when they see you out. I understand a lot of these, I call them the love and hip hop type girls that they used to be famous, not famous. Like, you know, they used to host these parties and, you know, Erica Mena, for an example, like, you know what I mean? Like, she was getting funds, and to live this certain lifestyle, you need this. And, you know, if people are subscribing to it, which they are, you know, Angela Yee posted up a DM and somebody was making $117K a month off of OnlyFans.
That's what I was
So
gonna
I
say.
can't knock that hustle.
Like, if you're gonna do it, like, make the bag, shorty. Like,
Make the bag,
really
you
get
know what I
into the
mean?
bag. Like,
go
you can't
all
be
out.
out here doing it for $30 a week, showing your ass for $30 a week. Like, come on.
Facts.
Like, if you're gonna
shout
do
out
it,
to
do it
that
all the
dude.
way.
Shout out
So-
to that dude that's been doing the heavy commentary on what OnlyFans to go
Oh
to.
yeah.
That is the most classic thing ever on Instagram right now. So if you are gonna subscribe, hit me up in my DM. I'll send you the link. I'll shoot you right to this dude. He's gonna give you the breakdown of who to follow and who's really not to follow.
That's crazy.
So I just think that it's funny because it's like the whole social media Black Twitter thing kind of goes hand in hand with the OnlyFans. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, everyone's sexually liberated. I'm a free woman. I can do what I want, blah, 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 blah. But then, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna make an OnlyFans. I'm empowered sexually. I'm gonna be doing X, Y, Z on there. I don't care what no one thinks about me. But then they get mad if you don't agree with that. Now, what I is that a lot of people, especially us men, are guilty of judging these women a certain way, but secretly we do enjoy it and want to see a raunchiness.
Facts. Yeah, that's facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So there, you know, so there's like that piece of it. But I will say, is there a woman? So which woman that you think would do an OnlyFans or has an OnlyFans, but you'd be like, yo, she might be able to get my $14.99 a month. We're gonna do national because I know boys are scared to do local.
No, I'll do local. Nah, I'm just joking.
He's calling out the tags and everything.
Yo!
I can't lie. Somebody could get my $29.99 right now, and I'm just gonna go off of just. Wow. Yeah. Nah. I'll say she's tougher than her. Celebrity-wise, obviously J-Lo, but I'm just talking like IG model, whatever the case may be. I gotta go with Bernice Burgos, man. I gotta see what that 40-year-old is cracking with. You know what I'm saying? I got my sons behind me talking like this.
Yeah, crazy. You know, yeah, I know you don't care. I know that.
I don't care.
Nah.
Who you got, Sean?
Damn.
Tell us that top 3 that you put in the chat.
Damn. This is only like I gotta agree. Like I gotta say Bernice. Who else would I want to see? Georgia Smith. That's her name.
Yeah.
Georgia.
Yeah, tough.
And I can't lie. I was like, I don't know. Like she made one, but I was kind of interested to see, like maybe there was a leak or something to see what she was posting to Harry.
Yeah, that's vintage. That's college day vintage, Jordan.
She's like Vince Carter of the IG models.
Yeah, facts.
BP, who you want to
BP?
see?
I gotta go. Aisha's one of my favorites of all time.
Well, I forgot about Aisha.
Yeah, Aisha's
me
top
too,
5
me
that
too.
are alive.
All right.
And another one I would go. She's a little slim, thick joint. Bundles of Brittany.
Oh,
Okay, yeah. That's the girl that made the book.
Yeah.
That wrote the book.
Yeah. Hers is
Yeah.
probably interesting too if she made one.
Movie something.
Damn.
Who you got?
Jake put everybody on the spot. Who you got?
Yo, just this is a disclaimer. Josh Correa is the man. Like I'll tell you later, but
Dang, Doc been sipping to his hat's way up there. Like, so I would say that I would want to see that chick. Her name is Soul Raven, I think.
Ooh,
Okay,
that's
yeah,
good.
Yeah,
Tough one.
maybe Jordan Woods.
Ooh,
Okay.
That's all I can think of right now. But you know, in the group chat, we're gonna be sending them. They're gonna be flying back and forth. So, you know,
Facts.
but I'm gonna move us to our final topic of the night. You know, we couldn't leave y'all without doing some kind of sports, right? So, dude, this Last Dance documentary has been really great for dialogue. There's no baseball, there's no basketball, there's no draft that we're getting ready for. It's just Last Dance topics on all the sports shows, on all the sports radio talk, on social media, Instagram, Twitter. You cannot escape the Last Dance. I mean, when I seen Craig Hodges get an interview, I was like, wow, like we really running low.
Really, yeah, a lot of material.
But one thing that has been brought up a lot is, do you think that what is the difference between playing sports in the 80s and 90s? We'll say those top tier athletes like a Michael Jordan, like a Ken Griffey, or like a Bo Jackson, versus in sports now in this social media world where it's 24-hour news, everyone has an opinion. You're on social media talking, people on social media talking about you. You get to interact with fans in a mostly positive way, but also negative way. 24-hour news cycle. I'm gonna start with Z because Z cannot wait. He's looking at his chop. He got his Akeem Olajuwon 1987 mustache going right now. You know what I mean?
My point in the chat, while I was just trying to drive home, is it's like back in the 80s and 90s, if you wanted information, you had to go seek it. You had to go read it. You had to purchase it. Where nowadays, information, it's given to us. Like I get alerts on, I'll admit right now, Bleacher Report, you could pick your favorite teams, right? So I got the Spurs. I got with, OKC because Westbrook and now Houston. I even clicked GSW because I wanted that information before Doc got it. But the information is sent to me. And with camera phones, athletes use it now. Every athlete is a figure. Where back then, the Michael Jordans, the Scottie Pippens, the Magic Johnsons, Larry Bird, they had their media pocket, but the sixth man on the bench wasn't getting that. One good follow I follow is Kyle Kuzma. He's not an all-star, but he's great to follow. Lonzo Ball, great to follow. So it's just meaning the scrutiny, the access to fans and the communication is just different times, and it drives you a little bit more crazy. You have to be more programmed now than you was in the 80s and 90s, i.e. Kevin Durant making a fake burner account, people lashing out, people making statements. It's just more honed in now, where when I see Michael Jordan say, I couldn't take this no more. He had one little scandal, gambling. Imagine what Kobe Bryant had to deal with when he had his cheating scandal. Look what happened to Earl Thomas just yesterday. Something that happened a month ago just got leaked nationally, instantaneously, where something will happen on a Monday. You might not get into that newsletter until the next day or the end of the week, depending on if it's Sports Illustrated. So it is much, much more difficult now. And that's my hold on it. Now, BP, I don't know. Are you on my side?
No, I definitely agree with that. Social media, like on-time media, all the way that media has changed overall, it's at your fingertips in minutes. I think the athlete, I don't know if necessarily the athlete has changed, but again, with social media, I think then the athlete has more room or more space to create their own narrative. Like you said, like a Kyle Kuzma, who's not an all-star, you know what I mean? But you can look at his page and feel like you're close to him, or you can feel his lifestyle outside of the game. So the times have changed as far as media goes in that way, and players controlling their narrative, controlling their business interests. Getting into business interests, I think we're going to talk about. I know Josh is going to jump on this, talking about Bron and Jordan later, but social media has become a multi-million-dollar business. These are how these athletes conduct their business. So when do we say it's easier or harder to live in the 80s or 90s? Obviously, I think from a competitive standpoint, from on the court or within your relative sport, I think it was a lot easier to play with that tunnel vision then. But now I think it's easier for you to control your narrative through your play, if that makes sense.
Doc?
Yeah, I would agree. I think now, like, if the players want something out there, they know the writers to get in contact with, like you said, like Alonzo Ball lifting weights with bad form is like the topic of this week. So just stuff like that. And I think like before, like in the 80s, early 90s, we just didn't have that much access to players. Look how we're seeing in The Last Dance that Jordan and them is in the locker room drinking Colt 45s. Like, I remember one of my coaches in New York who was like, you know, close to Ron Artest or close to someone in Ron Artest's circle was just like at halftime, Ron Artest used to drink Hennessy. Just wild stories like that. Like if he did that today, that's something that's definitely probably getting out there. So just more access to them. I think definitely social media is a huge factor today.
I think that it's like two sides of the same coin. Like I just think that while people are consuming things more from athletes, I also feel like things go away faster. Like it's very rare that something happens, like something happened June 15th, and by June 17th, no one's even talking about it, nobody's thinking about it, nobody's commenting about it. It's very rare that it will stick. So, you know, as an athlete, like, all right, gonna be a tough 1 or 2 days, but after that, they'll move on to the next thing, unless it's like a Ray Rice situation where it's like a video, where either that happened in the 80s and 90s, like, you know what I'm saying, that would have been a huge story. I think that the one thing that I don't like about the media is like now more than then is that I think that the media has always been negative, but just to a point where it's like, in my mind, I'm like, dang, like, who do you guys like? Who do you guys think is good? Like, people will go crazy on Steph Curry, James Harden, LeBron, Kawhi. It's like, damn, bro, like, these are the guys. Like so if I'm running ESPN, kind of like going down to my to my debate show saying, hey guys, like, yo, take it easy, because they are so negative and create such a negative perception and poor perception of the stars who are carrying the league. It makes people not like them and not want to root for them and not want to like watch the games. So it's like if I'm ESPN and I got Max and Stephen A, then the next show after that and the next show after that, just constantly digging in these athletes, pointing out every little flaw. And then when 7 o'clock rolls around and the NBA is on and not as many people are watching it because people don't like something that a star might have did, that's something so small, it's like now you're not getting ratings, right? Watching the game, and it's harder to sell the league. Whereas I feel like when I was growing up, when I was younger, like even when I got into my like teenage years and you start to hear all about the Kobe's, the Shaqs, this guy's a bad guy, Gary Payton's an asshole, Jordan's really mean. Like I read the Jordan rules. You know what I'm saying? Like, so even with them, it's like you wanted to aspire to be like them, and you looked up to them, and there was some mystery, and they were like bigger stars. You know what I mean? I feel like now it's like I see Bron doing the Tootsie slide with his family on Instagram, and it's like, oh, like he's just a guy. Like it's, you know, oh yeah, that's just Bron. You know, he's playing with his family. It's like there's no mystery there.
Yeah,
I agree with you, but on the flip side of that, I think like these little narratives that we do have now are ultimately what does fuel the league, what fuels television ratings. Like you said, like the rivalries or LeBron better than this one, or you know what I mean? Like those little hot takes that we see throughout the day ultimately fuel our tanks to where we're watching at the end of the night, 8 o'clock, we're locked in because we want to see the game between Bron and Kyrie. You know what I mean? When we heard all day that they were tussling or they weren't good as teammates, you know what I mean? So these little narratives also push forward the whole NBA or the whole game.
Yeah, and I feel like in the 80s, kind of what I've been seeing lately now that we've been in like quarantine, I've been able to like watch more interviews and stuff like that. I just feel like they were more like back then you could be your true self. Like it was kind of crazy to see that they were openly talking about it in the media, what was going on. Like for yesterday, to give you a more direct example, I was watching a 1998 All-Star game. And Magic Johnson's getting interviewed, and he's like, yeah, we want Jordan to come back, but we know Jordan's already said he's not coming back, and Phil Jackson's not going to be there. Like, that would never be said today. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's kept behind closed door. We would have to read about that. A player, a coach is never going to talk about that. And I just feel like back then they didn't feel the need, or maybe because, like Zim said, there wasn't that much access to them, they could be more open. You know, because, like, you have to go look for it instead of, like, you know, being alerted every, like, 2 seconds something happened. So I just felt like even Scottie Pippen talking on, like, his contract in public and how he was so unhappy. Like, if you do that today, you see that more so kind of in the NFL. If you do that today, you're like, damn, this dude's wild. Like, he's tripping. How could he say that? But back it seems like that was the norm.
And just not for nothing, negativity sells. You know what I mean? So all these shows that pin players against each other or bring up this topic or that topic. People love drama. People love scandals. People love, you know, the snitching and my sources told me this. It just is. But I'm just letting you know now mentally it got to be fatigue. Just imagine LeBron James waking up 1, 2, 3, 4 shows in a row saying how good he not is, how he's not compared to another man. They didn't have that back in the 80s and 90s where a hot take or a quick quote can get to a direct player and you would address that in an immediate fashion where you could say something about me before the game. I'm just giving an example of the 80s. Before the game, I'll know by halftime in today's game. You say something back in the 80s before the game, I'm not hearing it until after the end of the game and after it gets printed, if you get what I'm trying to say. So it's just different styles. But either way, media has been the media since the beginning of time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just think that I think that Jordan is a special circumstance. Like, I think that his fame was so intense. I think that his fame and him not being able to walk outside of his hotel room, almost like you said, he's like the Michael Jackson. Like people see him and just start crying and want to faint. Whereas like even today's stars like Steph and Bron are like gonna get mobbed and people want their autograph, but it's a different kind of energy. Like, I mean, Jordan was like bigger than the Beatles, bigger than Michael Jackson. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was like Drake and LeBron all rolled into one person.
I agree with that in the sense of the fans didn't have the access like they do now where, what's LeBron doing in his household? Let me just go to his son's TikTok right now and see what his living room looks like. You know what I mean? Or his kitchen look like. So I get that mystique. And we always laugh all the time about Shannon saying like, wow, I feel like I felt a God. You know what I'm saying? Where, oh, that's, no, I can't lie. I was going to say Meek Mill. I was acting like a groupie in that club. But I don't know. Like, I'm at a basketball. Oh, there's Kawhi. Like, yeah, I just, you know what I mean? It's just a different feel and vibe. But I'm pro. It's tougher now than in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, and back to Josh's point, I could kind of I see that like whatchamacallit, like he was like even the players in the league, bro, was just like this dude's Jesus. I seen a Kobe interview. They was talking about. He was like basically back in the day they were rest in peace Kobe. They were like kind of like, what was your first interactions with Jordan? How did you guys become so close? And he's like, when, like, you know, I had seen Jordan, my teammate was like to me, oh, yeah, we call him Black Jesus. So just think about that. A competitor, dude you competing against, they're referring to him as Jesus. And Kobe's like, what? You calling another man Jesus? Like, I want to go. And that's what kind of built their respect. But all in all, the fact that Kobe kind of went at him. But all in all, people amongst him, like, you know, feared him, like, you know, revered him, referred to him as like a god, like his colleagues. And that's like, we just don't see that today. So I get it's a little different now, but I feel like for Jordan, I don't think it was like he couldn't handle it, but I think the rate at which he was getting it for a pro athlete, that's something that was never seen before.
I look at it as mental fatigue, mental weakness. I don't care what you say. Imagine LeBron James do that right now. That's mental fatigue, mental weakness, and then mixed it. Well, something was up with that gambling shit. I know we don't have time to go into. We got to move on to the next one, but it was a lot to it.
Well, I just think that also, you know, his dad did get murdered. Like, people forget that. People are
Yeah.
93 because he couldn't take the, like, nah, I think it's because his dad got murdered.
They try to tie that together too.
Yeah,
Like,
coupled with everything.
They try to tie
yes.
that together. Like, that's stressful, bro. Your dad
Like I
just
told
saying
y'all.
it's because of you and gambling debts. Like, that's a whole nother entity.
And like I told y'all, there was something definitely, obviously we don't have time today, but that was funny because Atlantic City's nowhere near the Garden, bro. You literally had to go out your way to get there. So
It's a
it
couple hours,
was a little something funny.
This guy
Yeah,
not
man,
letting that
yo.
go, huh?
Yeah,
Yo,
this
nah.
driver.
I just think that, so I'll just give y'all a little bit of details before we get off this, before we get off this episode. So basically, Jordan's dad got killed by two 18-year-old kids. It wasn't a mob hit. It was like, so people were like trying to make it seem like it was a mob hit, but his dad got murdered by two 18-year-old kids. And the way that they found them was that they were using his cell phone. They were using his dad's cell phone. That's how they tracked him down. Two dumbass kids, but like, oh, we just killed some random dude. Yeah, we driving his car around, talking on his phone.
Yeah, stole his Lex and random shit.
You know what I'm saying? But nah, man. I think that The Last Dance is gonna be a topic on our podcast for at least a few more weeks, and it's gonna give all these hot take shows and sports radio guys something to talk about. And you know, and we'll discuss it more after episode 7 and 8. It's starting to really get juicy. Hopefully, they talk about how Mike wouldn't let Horace Grant eat on the plane after they lost. You know what I'm saying?
They don't discuss it. I'll let you know that.
Oh, it doesn't happen?
They don't get into him eating, but he's snitching.
Damn. All that snitching, man.
All that snitching.
Good episode here. You know what I'm saying? Part 2. Yeah, we're gonna make sure we keep content coming and we're consistent. So you know what I'm saying? Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next week.
Shout out the bottom.
Man, salute, man.